Hello, the three things I'd recommend that you really think about and really make sure that you cover in an exam situation. The first common mistake that students sometimes make is that they'll choose to recite the theory because that's what you based your revision on, but then you don't apply the theory to the actual question, so you don't apply it to the case study or the question that's been set. What it does is it really minimises the marks that we're able to give you because you haven't given us the whole answer. The whole answer is about the application of theory to the question that you've been asked, and it's really important that you kind of like remember that in the way that you're delivering your answer. The second point is if you offer opinion without support, so make sure that you use the theory and the models, the frameworks of analysis that we've delivered on all the modules this year to back up and support your answer. So it's your opinion, but it's based on the theory that you've used and discussed to be able to, or allow you to come up with your opinion at the end of that particular statement. It's very important that you back up what you're saying, support what you're saying with the theory. The third thing that's really important to remember is to apply a theory that's appropriate and relevant to the question. We see, every year we see some question papers where it's very clear to us that the student has revised a particular theory and they've wanted to use that theory in the exam regardless of what the question is. The bad news is, and you kind of need to hear that now, is that there's no marks for that. If the theory is not appropriate and not relevant to the question, then we're not going to give you marks for it. Part of the grade, part of the mark is that you're able to identify which theories or models or frameworks of analysis are the useful and effective models to help you to understand this question, to give you the answer. So please make sure that you use appropriate and relevant theories in the way that you answer the question.
If I had one piece of advice for you on how to do well in exams, it would be plan your essay, plan your answer. Really make sure that before you start to write, you need to know what you actually want to say. So instead of just writing page after page after page and writing down or jotting down your thoughts as and when they come, take 5 minutes right at the beginning, read the questions, take a blank piece of paper and jot down a few bullet points of things you want to say, arguments you want to get across, theories that you want to use. And then make sure that you order them in a sensible way, in a logic way. Have an introduction for your essay where you say what you're going to say, mention the theories, then have the main body tags where you present your arguments, use the theory to underpin your arguments, use real-life examples if that helps with your arguments, and then have a conclusion where you wrap everything up, where you say what you've said before, make a strong case for your argument, really make sure you get across what you want to say, finish on a strong note to convince the reader that you've provided a good answer for it. And that really helps to, I think, get a good mark in your exam.
If I had to give you one piece of advice about exams, it would be to plan your time. If the exam takes 2 hours, you have to answer 2 questions, and the questions are of equal weight, then you need to be thinking about using 1 hour for each question. Let me explain what happens if that goes wrong. If you've got an exam for 2 hours, and you have to answer 2 questions, and you spend an hour and a half on the first question, you might get a great mark for that question. You might get 80, let's say. But then, you've only got half an hour left for the second question. If you panic, because you've only got 30 minutes left, if you panic and only get 20 marks for that second question, then your mark overall for the exam is going to be 50, even though you're able to get 80 for the first question. If you think more carefully and plan your time, then you can get a more appropriate mark, a 60 or 70 for both questions. And remember, it's the average of the marks for the exam that counts. So you need to plan your time. A second time management issue is to make sure that you get the most marks possible from any time you have left at the end of the exam. So if you've got 20 minutes left at the end of the exam, you need to think about how you're going to get the most marks for that 20 minutes. Sometimes the temptation is to spend that 20 minutes polishing your best answer. But usually you're going to get more marks from working on your weaker answer, on the weaker parts of the exam. That's where the easier marks are to get. So think carefully about how you use your time in the exam to get the best mark that you can.
Hello. One of the things that I think is very important about answering exam questions is to be very clear as to what the question is asking you. And people often get that wrong, so what I'm saying is if it says discuss, then you need to have one thing and another thing at least, so you can discuss the two. If it asks you to describe, choose the thing and make sure that you describe it. If it asks you to analyse, then make sure you use those kind of words and language so that you analyse it. And if you do those things, if you look at those action words in the title of the question and answer those action words, then it'll be a real help.